As schools ramp up active shooter drills, some training tactics, listen to this shit, dude, especially those meant to simulate real life scenarios, are doing more harm than good. Stories have sprung up around the country of law enforcement officials firing blanks in hallways to demonstrate the sounds of gunfire, pelting teachers with projectiles, and showing video footage from actual shootings as part of their staff training exercises. In a recent drill in Indiana, teachers were shot execution style with plastic pellets.
Wow.
These experiences, educators say, can be physically and emotionally painful and don't necessarily prepare anyone for an actual school shooting.
Okay, hang on.
Happens.
No, hang on. I used to train shooters. And that is exactly what you do to train shooters. You show the scenarios, you go through all of the, draw, load, fire, move, get behind cover, operate in 1, 2, 3-man fire teams or more, stuff like that.
Where's the disconnect here?
The disconnect is we have an entire generation of flaming goddamn pussies who are unwilling to learn how the real world works, and they whine and cry about it because it's so traumatic. Well, you don't even fucking know. Just wait until the government runs out of money. You are going to see trauma wholesale. Now, listen, I don't want that to happen, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get the hell out of the way because I'm too old for that shit. But listen, those pussy farmers today, you want to talk about trauma, you just wait until some shit like that happens for real.
Yeah. So here's the perspective of somebody who worked in the civil affairs field at a different angle than Pop. Pop was actually running civil affairs teams in foreign countries. I was part of, basically, we called it semi-dip, where we were the interface between the civilian public and the military.
Yeah.
And in a foreign country, when you have a U.S. presence, there's a SOFA agreement, status of forces agreement, which dictates what you can do.
Yeah, and well, that's usually that accompanies a FID, Foreign Internal Defense.
That's
mission.
correct.
Yeah,
yeah, that's part of the FID mission. The SOFA is part of the FID mission. The thing is, when you've got U.S. forces over there, a lot of times in countries like Korea, Japan, Germany, places like that, we'll have our families with us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a real chance of war in some of those countries. So we have a program called NEO, Non-Combatant Evacuation Operations.
Actually, there's a NEO plan in every single country where American citizens or personnel are. I've read quite a few of them.
That's correct. Have you ever run a NEO?
I myself?
Yep.
No, I have not. I know guys who have.
I've run 4, and we found out right away with the civilians, and that's why I'm looking at this. And the way you're talking about training shooters, that's how you train shooters. It is.
Yeah.
But you're starting with a basic infantryman.
You have to start off the basics, yeah.
At the least. You're getting the guys you're going to teach that stuff to are already basic infantrymen.
You have to be.
Correct. So these guys are running those tactics on civilians who think a paper cut is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
And you can't do it. What we had to do with the NEO things is on a Saturday, we'd set up a barbecue and we'd go to the parking lot with big chalk tape and box out areas and say, okay, here's what we do. Bring all of your bags. Okay, nice and slow, neat and orderly. Isn't that barbecue good, though? Okay, take all of your bags and you put them here in these lines.
Yeah. And then when it gets really bad, you will leave those bags, run for the aircraft, and hope you get off the ground.
Baby steps. Crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
Okay, we started with the barbecue and the chalk lines and the thing.
Yep.
Then we'll do an evening one where 8 o'clock at night, once a year, you're overseas with military families. They know that they're going to have to put up with some shit. So for 2 hours at 8 o'clock on a night, we'll go out and do it in the dark. And you get to load up on the trucks. And the kids think this is great fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then once a year, you take another group who's they're seasoned military families, and they'll each take and sponsor a junior military family, and we'll do the full loadout all the way to the buses to the airport. and then back.
Yeah, I was just talking to a soldier a couple months back that when the whole Ukraine thing kicked off.
Yeah.
Like he'd been married for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And literally he walks in the door and goes, shooting started Ukraine. And his wife immediately starts packing shit. Okay, we're out of here. Like she's old hat.
Yeah, the older military wives just do. And that's why they would sponsor a junior wife.
Yeah.
And run through that whole. So what they're missing in this school training is they're walking into the school and going, bang, 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 bang. This is what it's going to sound like. Come here. Bang. That's what happens when we. And the civilians, of course, they're going to freak out.
That's why you need to have veterans in the schools.
You have to use the crawl, walk, run.
Yes.
You can't just walk in guns blazing.
Not with
You're
civilians.
going to kill them.
Yeah.
You may kill one who's on heart meds.
Well, that's their problem.
I understand. That's fair.
I'm sorry. That's so much fucking paperwork when somebody dies.
It is a lot of
it's a whole, it's like enough to fill this entire room.
But right here, I feel more traumatized. I felt more traumatized than trained, says Elizabeth Yanelli, a teacher in Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, who went through the active shooter drill a few years ago, in which teachers were shot with airsoft guns so they could practice stopping a shooter in the cafeteria. In other words, putting themselves between the gunner and the kids, which, okay, that's good. You should have the courage to do that. We had colleagues shooting colleagues. We had people getting hit with plastic pellets. People were screaming, trying to run, tripping over each other. It was horrendous, which tells me they did not use crawl, walk, run.
No.
And you have to. You can't train people like that. Well, they won't learn anything.
You can't train civilians. And prior military people, you can ramp it up a little.
Prior military, the guy next to me did NEO well at Osan. Yeah, yep. There, Osan was a big one. I ran the 8th Army NEO for 4 years.
Well, the thing with the Korean though is that is a real situation because
very much so. If
North Korea decides to kick off, they have enough artillery pieces to separate the lower portion of Korea.
Seoul is in range of 11,000 pieces of artillery.
Yeah,
just Seoul.
It's a bad day. You better be on your game to get the hell out of there.
Before we go on a side tangent, North Korea was actually firing missiles at a South Korean island just the other day.
I was on that island. I was on that island in 2000. It's called Pyeongdo, and it is in UN waters, and it is 2 miles off the coast of North Korea's 4th Corps. So, yeah, I've actually been there. And they do that a lot. They'll shoot mortars over and snipers.
But isn't that like a big training island, though?
No, it's just full of SIGINT.
Oh, okay.
It's because it's right off of North Korea's coast. Yeah, I've actually been to that island, dude. Let's see what Security.org has to say before we move on to the data, because we have somehow made it to 9 o'clock already.
Wow.
Gun violence is a serious issue in many areas of the United States. Virtually anybody can be touched, including a toddler at home, 5-year-olds, blah, 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 gun violence. So here's the thing. There's no such thing as gun violence. There's no such thing as gun violence.
There's just violence.
People are violent. We're evil, hairless monkeys.
I've said it all the time.
Pops, what do you say?
Evil, hairless monkeys. And some of us are just more melanin challenged than others.
That's correct.
But it's all the same wiring, same programming. You just react different to the sun. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And these people are all college educated ivory tower people here. You got Victoria Bassetti, fellow at the Brennan Center for Justice, another organization of professionals, like I was talking about earlier. Dr. John Stanford, interim superintendent of Columbus City Schools. Tamara Dodson was an outspoken 8th grader at Champion Middle School. Her voice was silenced by a bullet. Matthew Mayer, associate professor at Rutgers. Having the metal detector or locked doors isn't going to stop it. The hard work is a lot more effort. You better start thinking in a more comprehensive manner about prevention instead of reacting. These academics who live in academia, most of them live in gated communities and have security of some form.
And they have never really faced true adversity, in my opinion.
Many of them have never even slapped in the mouth.
Yeah. They never even had a fist fight.
Yeah, and they want to take every kid should have to have a fist fight. I think every kid should have to have a fist fight at about 10.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It does. Listen, it does a person good to get their ass kicked once in a while.
Yeah,
and I'm no exception.
Yeah, I got my ass kicked a lot when I was little. That's why I became the badass in school.
Yeah.
So I had cousins. I had 72 cousins.
You get tired of getting screwed with.
Oh my God, we used to beat the crap out of it when I was little. So I got beat the crap out of a lot. My cousin Darren loved to kick my ass every summer. These intellectuals, and again, with the professional organizations that you should listen to because they're professional organizations, they just want to take your guns away because that's all they understand. If the gun goes away, the violence goes
No, it doesn't.
away. Go to London.
Yeah. Yeah, like
tell them about that.
Well, first of all, London is one huge stab fest.
Yes.
I mean, people are walking around with fucking armor on.
Yes.
Anti-slash clothing.
Literally, yes. You could buy anti-slash clothing. Look it up.
And some of them are actually wearing those. It's not full chainmail, but it's enough to cover the torso.
And the neck, the gorget.
Yeah.
The leather neck.
Yeah.
That the Marines made famous. This list of academics and prevention and protection in schools, getting started with identifying vulnerabilities. They don't know a threat assessment. They wouldn't know a threat assessment if you beat them half to death with one in a binder. It's really bad. I've seen some of the security protocols they have in play. I spoke at a couple of high schools back when my daughter was in grade school. I had a couple of high school teacher friends and I came in and talked to them about some national security stuff. I did a class on cold weather training. I gave the 8th grade class at Ruther Middle School cold weather training because we had a particularly cold winter. Yeah. They learned something.
Yeah.
But I talked to a couple of the teachers about the security there, and they said it's just a joke.
Well, first of all, you need to have an actual professional do the threat assessment.
Yes.
Like somebody at the school who's done nothing but, sling numbers and bullshit and propaganda at kids knows fuck all about security. I'm sorry. It's just the truth.
Yeah. Their solution is to lock doors and search vehicles, which does nothing.
Well, now listen. All right. I am all for metal detectors. I am all for, having one entrance and one exit. I mean, that helps. I would love to see the movable barricades. You flip a switch and the barricades go up to isolate.
Yeah.
I would love to see that, and if you have, listen, I'm going to be honest. If you have certain individuals who have a history of some craziness, maybe a standard frisk and search their locker is warranted.
If a real school shooter is serious,
yeah, I know you're not
in a hypothetical situation, he grabs a teacher by the hair in the parking lot, walks her up to the door, she swipes herself in, and he goes to town.
Correct. Yeah, I mean,
and all of those security issues go right out the window. All those security features go right out the window.
Well, yes, in that instance, yes, but how often is that going to happen?
Thank God it doesn't.
Yes.
Thank God it's all just media hype.
Like the one with that trans girl band thing that.
Who wanted to be.
Yeah, she literally shot through the door and walked in.
Yes.
And now, if you had bullet resistant glass, you could shoot holes in it, but it's not going to give. You're not going to be able to come through that door.
Yeah,
if it's locked.
Yep.
There you go. You need to have a kicker charge, and that turns the complexity, way up.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.